Welcome to Space News from the Electric Universe, brought to you by the Thunderbolts Project at thunderbolts.info. The 2017 Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 scientists for their contributions to the so-called observation of gravitational waves. In February of last year, a team working with the LIGO gravitational wave detector announced their discovery. We are told that the instruments detected, quote, ripples in space-time, which were caused by the collision of 2 black holes a billion years ago. This was not the first time such a pronouncement of gravitational waves discovery produced a media firestorm, although the previous claims were later disconfirmed. However, institutional science and science media unite in consensus that the discovery is valid and marks an irrefutable confirmation of Einstein's theory of general relativity. Is the purported detection of gravitational waves actually valid? In part 1 of this 2-part presentation, our chief science advisor, physicist Wal Thornhill, again tackles the question, and he suggests why the signals cannot in fact have anything to do with gravity.
The 2017 Nobel Prize for Physics has been awarded once again to mathematicians. This time it's for decisive contributions to the LIGO detector and the observation of gravitational waves. It seems the inmates are in charge of the asylum. Last month at the Royal Institution, Dr. Jim Baggott, an award-winning science author, lectured on the concept of mass, which is essential for understanding gravity. He declared that theoretical physicists have a dirty little secret. He explained, "The mission of a theoretical physicist trying to work out the nature of substance and elementary particles is to get the maths to work out correctly and consistent with what's gone on before. So we're discussing mathematics, not physics. And of course, what's gone on before is that mathematicians raised Einstein's general relativity to the status of scripture, while that theory ignores the substance of stars and planets that exhibit mass and gravity. So the theory has no physical basis whatsoever. It depends instead on a warped view of reality." Unsurprisingly, Jim Baggott failed to physically define mass or explain the mysterious equivalence of inertial mass and gravitational mass. The dirty little secret is that mathematics is the foreign language of physics. Few claim to understand the language, and the Math to English dictionary is woefully incomplete because the editors, the natural philosophers, were sacked a century ago. So key words like mass and energy are physically undefined, and infinities are reified, which allows a photon to exist having no mass but carrying energy. The shocking truth is that E equals mc squared is not physically understood. It seems physics is a foreign discipline for mathematicians also. Phys.org asks, "What is space-time?" and answers, "Space-time is the mind-bending, 4-dimensional way astronomers see the universe. It melds the one-way march of time with the more familiar 3 dimensions of space. But how can astronomers see anything in 4 dimensions? And point me in the direction that time is marching." Lumping together the concept of locations in 3 dimensions, that is space, with the numbers on clocks, that is time, cannot constitute a physical fabric. Space-time is a meaningless concatenation of words. It isn't physics. As a result, translations of theoretical mathematics into plain English have become meaningless, New Age nonsense. Mathematics isn't physics. When it comes to experiment, how can our prize winners claim an infinitesimal signal is a hypothetical gravitational effect allegedly caused by objects, black holes, that have never been observed? How can our prize winners be so specific about the masses of 2 merging black holes? A black hole has never been observed. If a theorist is unable to discover real objects, which cause the observed effects, it is unscientific, indeed it is fraudulent, to invent unreal objects and present them as a factual discovery of the cause of those effects. Gravitational waves and black holes are merely mathematical speculations with fatal problems, which I'll address in a moment. And how can you have decisive contributions from a detector when the effect is a displacement of less than the width of a proton over 4 kilometres. The experiment is a textbook example of pathological science, matching signal patterns from a huge database of 250,000 theoretical templates of alleged binary black hole collisions, hoping one might coincide with the infinitesimal recorded signals. Critical to the detection algorithm is that the alleged gravitational waves are assumed to travel at the speed of light, so there is a time delay expected between similar signal patterns from separate LIGO detectors. But Newton's theory, which is used successfully to navigate the solar system, has gravity operating instantly. Time doesn't appear in his law of gravity. Newton's gravity acts like a rigid rod between celestial bodies, where the tug at one end is felt immediately at the other end. This is actually essential for the clockwork regularity of the planetary system, but it's never considered because the effect exceeds Einstein's speed limit of light waves. What light has to do with the force of gravity is not explained. Meanwhile, the phys.org report states, gravitational waves stretch space in one direction and compress it in a transverse direction. How Einstein's gravity, which does away with force, manages to allegedly stretch and compress a four-dimensional geometric concept of empty space is unexplained. The important thing to note is that the signals did not arrive at the same time in each LIGO detector, so the LIGO signals were not caused by gravity. More damning, though, is that the physical implications of black hole theory seem not to be understood by any academic. Steve Crothers addressed this issue in his Electric Universe 2017 presentation. Amongst other things, he points out that the black hole universe is infinite and not expanding, while the Big Bang universe is finite and expanding. The black hole universe is eternal, while the Big Bang universe is 13.8 billion years old. The black hole universe is asymptotically flat, while the Big Bang universe is not asymptotically anything. A black hole universe contains only one mass, while the Big Bang universe contains many masses. So we, as observers, cannot exist in a black hole universe. And two black holes orbiting each other in the Big Bang universe is impossible. Yet we are led to believe that 4 binary pairs of black holes have been positively identified and accurately weighed through vanishingly tiny chirp signals. To drive home the sheer nonsense of black hole theory, Steve itemises its properties. A black hole has finite mass concentrated at its singularity. The singularity has zero volume and infinite density. The black hole has no gravitational force, only space-time curvature. There is infinite curvature at the singularity, which means infinite gravity. Steve says, let's think about that. A finite mass is located in zero volume. It has infinite density. It has infinite gravity. Do you think any such thing exists? It's simply assumed by the originators of black hole gravitational collapse theory that matter is uncharged and infinitely compressible. It is also simply assumed that the gravitational equations and the universal constant of gravitation, g, are universal and can be applied inside the Earth and stars without change. There is no mention of the matter in those bodies, which is the origin of their mass and gravity. Meanwhile, their partners in mathematical fraud, particle theorists, have decided that normal matter has no intrinsic mass, which further obscures the origin of gravity and our understanding of the universe. It's a self-serving myth that Einstein's mathematics predicts black holes. The originators of black hole theory in 1965, including Thorne, chose not to mention that Einstein's October 1939 paper, which they refer to, concludes with, the Schwarzschild singularity, the term black hole had not been introduced then, does not appear for the reason that matter cannot be concentrated arbitrarily, and this is due to the fact that otherwise the constituting particles would reach the velocity of light. Einstein showed mathematically that black holes cannot form gravitationally for the same reason that stars and planets cannot, because the infalling matter begins to circle the centre of mass until the centrifugal force balances the gravitational force. The observational evidence now shows that stars and planets are formed by the powerful electromagnetic force produced in electromagnetic pinches along cosmic lightning filaments in molecular clouds. Gravitational collapse theory is now discredited by direct observation.
In the following episode, Thornhill suggests that a fundamental error of Einstein's has prevented scientists from considering a mundane explanation for the chirps LIGO has detected. And he explores in detail the promising theoretical alternatives that await in the electric universe. For continuous updates on space news from the electric universe, stay tuned to thunderbolts.info. Previous claims were later disconfirmed. However, institutional science and science media unite in consensus that the discovery is valid and marks an irrefutable confirmation of Einstein's theory of general relativity. Is the purported detection? 2017 Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 scientists for their contributions to the so-called observation of gravitational waves. In February of last year, a team working with the LIGO gravitational wave detector announced their discovery. Welcome to Space News from the Electric Universe, brought to you by the Thunderbolts Project at thunderbolts.info. The detection of gravitational waves actually valid? In part 1 of this 2-part presentation, our chief science advisor, physicist Wal Thornhill, again tackles the question, and he suggests why the signals cannot in fact have anything to do with gravity. We are told that the instruments detected, quote, ripples in space-time, which were caused by the collision of 2 black holes a billion years ago. This was not the first time such a pronouncement of gravitational waves discovery produced a media firestorm, although the